What's up, YouTube? Tube. Okay, I actually put on makeup today and I have a bow. So the shades will not be necessary this week. My sister did comment the shades are frying me. And if you know anything about having a sibling, now I can never wear shades again. Because why would you come to my home? Like time and place. You're at the dinner table talking about some it's frying you. Well, what do you mean by that? Twin? Literal twin? Hey guys. Welcome back to No One Listens to Kendall, the show where I talk like no one's listening. Today, I'm gonna be demure. I'm gonna be very classy. I am going to think about the words that are coming out of my mouth, and I'm not gonna use any filler words. I'm not going to speak so fast that you cannot understand me. When I was editing last week's podcast, I was embarrassed. Because I sounded not very demure, not very classy, not very elegant. I sounded like a crazed woman, and I did not give you the content in a caliber that I would be impressed with. And so this week we're here with notes. We have topic markers, and we have Josie Kendrix in the studio. My biological daughter. So, you know what we're starting with. We're starting with Heated Rivalry Episode 4 recap. I have about 3 pages of notes, and I'm in pain. I just exited out of TikTok to see an edit of Nights by Frank Ocean. Shut the fuck up. I don't want your conversation, every day shit, every night shit. And I'm devastated. These 2 characters mean so much to me. Now, I know last week I said, or the week before last, which thank you guys for like almost 500 views on that. And the response on that has been crazy. I didn't get a chance to respond to it because when I filmed last week's episode, I hadn't really gotten that much of a response on the video yet. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it and the kind comments that were left. But anyways, like I was saying, I was like, I'm not going to listen to the audiobook. I don't like the narrator. Well, I have found a way to suck it up. Because the book is sold out everywhere. I don't have a Kindle. I'm not really gonna read it on Google Play Books. Like, that's not really my vibe. I'm either physical book or audiobook, not in between. You know what I mean? So I'm about 12 chapters in. I was surprised to the extent that a lot of the lines are verbatim. And it just reinforces my perception that this series is being created with so much care and love for the source material, and that care and respect has yielded beautiful results, has gotten their return back in dividends. You know what I mean? We're renewed for season 2. Hallelujah. We knew with these numbers, with these metrics, that would be the case. But we are renewed for season 2, which means we're getting the long game, and everybody is talking about, oh my gosh, you think it's sad now, get to the long game. Well, I will not be left in the dark. I will be prepared for when war begins in season 2. So I'm listening to Heated Rivalry, and I will be moving on to the long game. Don't even worry about it. And honestly, outside of the Russian accent, the narrator for Heated Rivalry is not that bad. You get to like chapter 4, you're like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. So let's get into it. Episode 4. We start with a beautiful montage. Montage in television and movies is very difficult to pull off because showing the passage of time in a way that is not overly jarring, doesn't feel like we're cheating the narrative, doesn't feel like we're speeding past too many details too quickly, doesn't feel cheesy, because a montage can feel very cheesy sometimes. Montages can feel very lazy at times, like you're just trying to get to the good stuff and add in a bunch of detail and familiarity without really working for it. It can feel that way sometimes, but the editing of that opening montage in episode 4 is very beautifully done. It's sexy, it's fun, it's beautifully lit, okay? I think it's hilarious that Ilya uses the term hat trick as a euphemism for them doing the devil's tango. I think that's hilarious. I think the shots in sequence of them slamming each other into the barrier on the ice versus being slammed down in the bedroom, that first shot came in like a hit of cocaine. I felt like I had just did a line. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that that is the analogy that I'm making, but I don't know what else to compare it to. I felt like I had just did drugs. I was like, and the yellow lighting, the warm lighting for the intimate scenes at night becoming a motif is just really, really delicious to me. It's just really, really delicious to me. And so when he slammed them into the barrier and then it hard cuts to him slamming him face down, cinema, cinema, back to back cups in the MHL, back to back cups. Shane Hollander, you're everything. You're kind of goated, Shane Hollander. Double back to back cups. And the parallel of Ilya watching him win that cup with that gorgeous, gorgeous smile on his face. Real yearning, real lovers. I'm so happy everyone is finally able to see how much Ilya really loves Shane. I guess people needed more explicit instances of such because he's been plotting since episode 1. He's been plotting since episode 1. We're finally able to see it in full swing, So we get through this montage. It's 2 years that passes in the montage where they are seeing each other during the season and separated during the summers. And the contrast that is drawn between Ilya and Shane in how they spend their summers, right? So Shane is kind of going OD with the training, if I were to say so. If I am able to say so, he kind of goes OD with the training. So you see him, his entire life is becoming hockey, and you can see him obsessively focusing on bettering himself and bettering his career. You see him filming these commercials, you see him training nonstop, you see him indulging in anything other than hockey, indulging in any simple pleasures. He said, no, I will not be drinking wine. I will not be going out to party. I'm going to stay in my hotel room with my sexy glasses. Oh, Hudson Williams, you are so, so gorgeous. Those dimly lit, warm scenes of him in the hotel beds with his glasses on. Gorgeous, gorgeous. But it's also showing how his priorities are shifting. He's viewing it more as a responsibility that he has to fulfill other than a hobby from his youth. He's taking a more utilitarian approach, a more pragmatic approach, a more adult minded, business minded approach to it all. With the back to back winnings of the Cups, you see him catapulted into fame, which is adding on to the surmounting amount of pressure that he already feels, right? As the face of his team, the face of Montreal, his obligations to the team, obligations to his family, and the obligations that he's created to and for himself as this picture of perfection, this perfectly templated display of masculinity that he has imprisoned himself in and has, in my opinion, this masochist self inflicted pain of boxing himself in so that he can feel nothing other than this responsibility, other than this tactful business-like approach to hockey and everything that shrouds it. So he's trying to balance the business aspects of it and his own personal happiness, but I just feel like he's punishing himself by denying himself from the happiness. That happiness being Ilya, but that happiness also being freedom. He doesn't feel very, it doesn't read as very free from there being multiple hints at him having a very strict diet, not being able to eat what he wants, never going out, constantly exercising, constantly having to be in shape so that he's ready when the time comes. It's almost like he has traded away a type of freedom for the money and status. So I'm a little all over the place. But rewinding slightly back to the interlaced shots of them on the ice versus them in bed, seeing the parallels between their the physicality of their sports and the physicality of the intimacy that they have with one another, and Hayden making that comment, Shane's friend Hayden making the comment about you always play better after you get laid, and that being a bomb in and of itself, and Hayden being like, "You're gonna go see Lily." And that's when I already started to notice that Shane was getting scared. Shane is already getting scared because he's starting to realize how obvious he's been this whole time. And I think that was a really big wake-up call to him, that he's not hiding his affection for this person. No one knows it's Ilya, but he knows it's Ilya, and that's enough to scare him, right? he knows that Hayden doesn't know it's Ilya, that Hayden would never guess that it's Ilya, but just the fact that he's able to tell that he's infatuated with a person to such an extent and has been for many years, that's already terrifying. That's already terrifying. Similarly, the parallel with Svetlana versus Ilya, Svetlana knowing and observing this Jane for years and years, and she's like, it's been a hella long time and you're trying to tell me it's not serious. It's not serious. She said, okay, I guess. And then her dropping, Sasha says hi. Wow. Again, you can see the fear in Ilya when they're in the car driving to presumably a bar, some kind of club. Again, the contrast between how they spend their summers. Ilya partying, perhaps overindulging in, would I go as far as to call it hedonism? Perhaps. I know in the books it's implied that he gets with a lot of women. So maybe I would categorize that as hedonism, maybe drinking a little bit too much. But anyway, Svetlana says, oh, Jane is not serious. And Ilya turning his head so sharply in so much fear. He's like, you've been noticing that? Which is so funny because they're just constantly in communication with one another. When Shane wins the cup, he's still celebrating in the moment, getting drenched in champagne, I think. Getting drenched in champagne, phone in hand, texting Ilya. Even when he plays Montreal versus Boston, even when Montreal and Boston play after those 2 years when the montage ends and they only win 1-0, he texts back Rose, but he still goes to read the other texts with Ilya. And it just shows that they are constantly on each other's minds and that they are the first person that they want to share their happiness, their accomplishments, their life happenings with one another. And they're so intrinsically connected with one another. It's so second nature to them after 8 years that they don't realize how much of a part of the fabric of their being that one another has become for the other, respectively. Did that sentence make sense? Whoa, that was a crazy sentence. They don't realize that being in constant communication with one another has become a part of the fabric of their being. So much so that the closest people in their life, Hayden and Svetlana respectively, are like, well, yes, Jane, Lily, well, yes, I've been noticing. How could I not notice after all this time? And so, sorry, Josie is sitting on my notebook. She's sleeping on my lap. It is so cuteness. When they're in Boston and Ilya invites Shane to his house. Something logistical and narratively is this being a stark contrast to all of their intimate scenes being at night to now it's in the day. Let the light in. Feel the rain on your skin. Maybe not the rain, but the sun. Let it in. Daylight scenes. What that means symbolically, but also just being able to see this soft domestic love see the light of day. So it's a really, really big shift. And the scene, him being at Ilya's house in the daytime, really emphasizes how big of a shift this is. I love the shot of Ilya walking to the door and he's slicking back his hair. I like the idea of Ilya preparing the house for him for days, making sure it's clean. It's beautifully curated, parallel to Shane. I was making a joke in my head that, a lot of the fandom, and I think Rachel Reed, the author herself, has confirmed that there's some autism coding with Shane. So in my head, I like to think that interior design and architecture might be a special interest of Shane's. But it's also really interesting to think about, his propensity for control and being able to control how his space is presented, how his primary environment is presented down to the minutia of what painting is up, what style the house is designed in, each room designed by professionals. That is also very indicative of a lot of things in Shane's nature. So to see that on the flip side with Ilya, to have a similarly obsessively curated home and space, and him walking in and being like, "Ooh, Mr. Real Estate," when Shane is spouting out all these questions like, "Oh, who designed it? Like, who built this? Did you have it built?" You know, there's a lot of subtext within that as well that I thought was really, really cool. You know, it's the little things, it's the little details. They're just so domestic and sweet, and you can really feel Connor and Hudson's chemistry in every scene that they have. You can tell that these are two people that have so much respect and admiration for one another as artists, as performers, and as friends. And it makes every scene that much more palpable. When they're in the bed after, oh my gosh, I gotta go back even further because the kiss that they're enveloped in as soon as Shane walks in and Ilya just scoops him up so gently, and you can tell there's so much on Shane's mind already because like I said, it's already been foreshadowed that Shane is terrified at the level at which he loves Ilya. He's terrified. It's clear from the opening of this episode. So when he's there and he's like, "We gotta talk. We need to talk." Ilya's like, "After." Envelops him in this sweet, slow, like it's not rushed, it's not feral, it's not lust driven, it's a love driven kiss. And Shane instantly melts and then propping him up on the counter so easily. And just this sweet, sweet, sweet kiss. I was screaming. I was screaming. I was like, oh my gosh, they are so cute. So, 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 so cute. And then fast forward to them in the bed, Connor, Hudson, the actors that you are, you can see how visibly nervous Ilya is just to even ask him to stay, stay, stay. Alessia Cara is playing in my head. All you gotta do is stay a minute, just take your time. The clock is ticking. I love really bad 2015 music. 2015 pop, terrible, but excellent at the same time. Anyway, Ilya is so, so nervous. You can see it in his demeanor, the tension in the neck and shoulder area, but also his face and him kind of laying back in bed looking up at Shane, who is trying to find really any excuse to leave. Shane is like, but Hayden. Ilya's like, just stay, please just stay. And he throws in this line. He says, I'm not done with you. It's almost like he uses the physical intimacy of it all, the lust of it all to cover up the depth of his emotions. He uses innuendo as his tough exterior. He uses the flirting, the coyness, the teasing, the rage baiting as a front for how vulnerable he's feeling in that moment. It's like, I'm not done with you, you know? And of course, that is part of it, that they have this lust for each other, that they have this physical attraction, but it's them wanting to be together. And the cuddling, the cuddling with the sunlight streaming in, it's so gorgeous. I love it so much. So Shane finally concedes in the moment he concedes. And Ilya gets to cook for him. He has all of the food prepped in like little neat boxes. Again, I'm thinking about him grocery shopping or having the groceries delivered and prepping everything in real time, making sure he has the ginger ale cold for him. Not only did he have the ginger ale to give, knowing it's Shane's favorite, but he had the forethought to keep it cold for him. When everyone else was either denying him of it, saying that he shouldn't want it, or straight up offering something else, Ilya had it, and it was cold. We just all gotta live. I told you, I'm being demure today. I'm not screaming. I'm not yelling. I'm not gonna go too crazy. I'm just, you know what I mean? So demure, so cutesy today. Also, cooking for someone is really vulnerable and domestic and cute. Like I said, it's just really, really big shifts in intimacy in this one scene. You're going from seeing someone only in the night, only when it's the least suspicious, because you could argue, why don't they just visit each other in the summer? It's too suspicious. It's too obvious. Someone would be like, why are you going to Russia? And Shane is too busy anyway. And so they're going from only seeing each other in very specific circumstances, in very specific anxiety inducing secrecy, to being on the brink of normalcy, on the brink of freedom that both of them are denying. They're denying the depth of their feelings. They're denying the depth of their feelings. I think it was just getting to a certain breaking point where Ilya is experiencing so much, and I've been made aware that we're only at the tip of the iceberg. Fuck Alexei. We're gonna get there. Demure. Ilya's going through so much, and his closest support system is really far away in Russia. He has Svetlana, and that's about it. She is not immediately accessible. Not that his emotional burdens should be her responsibility, but that's his friend, his childhood friend, the only other person who probably knows the extent of which he's going through. And to have these big shifts in domesticity, Ilya has reached this breaking point, a tipping point where he's like, I cannot deny myself of this any longer. I want the comfort of Shane. Shane is the only person who knows me like this. I want him to stay. I want to be able to say what I want out loud. And like I said, again, it's still under the guise of lust, under the guise of this coyness, of this playfulness. But there is truth to every joke. There's truth to every little chirp he sends Shane's way. Even though he does like messing with him in that way, there's still truth to what he's saying underneath it. Another testament to Connor's acting. Again, timeline, canon, Ilya has been in Boston for 8 years. And so you can see him start to use more native English speaker phrases like, oh, no, you're good, when Shane asks to take off his shoes, or his accent kind of slipping in and out on certain words, certain phrases, to show that progression of time, similarly to how Shane's more adult attitude is alluding to that passage of time, his more business-like, longevity-minded motivation is starting to show that passage of time. It's very immersive for me. It's very immersive for me, and I think it's really, really cool. So we have this conversation on the couch. They're sitting so far apart because I'm sure it's weird to be sitting next to one another, not in a bed. Again, these leaps and bounds of intimacy that it's not just dependent on them being physical with one another, but because they know each other so intimately, physically, because they know the idiosyncrasies of one another so well, that's what's making the elephant in the room so awkward. That's why they're so far apart on the couch. And again, Ilya, the rage baiter he is, he's asking more personal questions, getting to know him, but under the guise of this coying, flirty, confident, cheeky demeanor that we've grown to know. So when he's saying, Svetlana, it's not like that. It's not serious. I want to find someone. And it doesn't even cross Shane's mind that maybe he can be that someone. Tell me you're not somebody, but I'm not somebody. Baby girl. And a man for the big, big, big. Shane can't even contend with the idea that him could be him. He can't even imagine himself fulfilling that for Ilya at the risk of it being public knowledge. Them actually settling down with one another, being with someone who knows you so well. You can be like, man, it's been 8 years. How does Shane not know he's gay? I feel like that's a very unempathetic way of viewing it. 8 years grappling with your sexuality while you're being propped up as this figure, as this mouthpiece, as this front-facing persona for so many people. And then you have the internalized denial of it all. 8 years. He's been reckoning with what Ilya brings up in him. Ilya is this mirror for him. Ilya is the unearthing of so many things that Shane has been wanting to suppress, that he feels he needs to suppress for so long. And so being confronted with him in this way, with such a big shift in the intimacy all at once, I'm sure it's so overwhelming for him. Ilya takes a phone call with his father. His father is terrified because he's by himself and he doesn't remember anything. I lived with my grandmother up until she passed away. Well, my grandmother lived with us up until she passed away, and she also had Alzheimer's and dementia. You cannot leave people in that state alone. They get scared because they don't remember what they're doing. They'll try to cook something and they'll forget it's there in the house on fire. They'll try to get in a car, drive somewhere. They'll forget where they're going halfway through and get scared and lost. Or they'll forget who they are, who they're going to see, who's talking to them. And so Ilya being the only person that he can remember on the phone, because Ilya is the only person in his father's corner. Now I know why Ilya is giving Alexei the money. Your brother is giving you money, an ample amount of money to take care of your father with Alzheimer's, and you don't even have the decency to actually be there and actually take care of him. Alexi, when I catch you. And maybe I'm even more angry because it hits a little bit closer to home. Maybe that's why I'm in Ilya's corner with the fervor that I possess. But it's like, what's not clocking to you, Alexi? Then Ilya comes back. He sits down on the couch trying to get it all back together, trying to cope, put on the facade that he does as Mr. Rozanov. Confident, cool, nonchalant, cheeky, perfectly flirty and fun and sexy all the time, all the time. And Shane says, everything okay with your father? And the line delivery on, oh, so you speak Russian now. His little eyes and his little smile, the way his eyes, sorry, I'm disturbing the princess down here. The way his eyes lit up, and it's a mix of this person who has been in my life for nearing a decade now is starting to become familiar with my native tongue. I know it's dramatic to say because, he says a word that is very close to father in English, so cognates. Anyone can deduce that it's father. Like, it's not like he's learning real Russian. No, you guys are such buzzkills. It's the symbolism. It's not the difficulty of the word, it's the symbolism. Someone in your life becoming more familiar with your native tongue, that's so vulnerable. That's so vulnerable. That's so personal. You're starting to recognize words in my native tongue, and I'm going through something really difficult, and you're asking and checking up on me if I'm okay despite you not understanding everything that I'm saying. You still have the wherewithal and know me so well to know that something's off. You heard father, you see me looking a little distraught despite my best efforts to hide it. That's why that line is so important. Oh, so you speak Russian now. It's also a callback to him watching Shane's interview on the TV in episode 1, talking about, he speaks perfect French and English. He's so perfect and gorgeous and amazing and beautiful and sexy. I love him. Ilya loves Shane. Ilya loves Shane. And Shane loves Ilya. He knows something's off. He knows something's off. And I empathize with Ilya so much. He has this dream. He wants to play hockey. He's earning money for himself. He wants a life for himself, but he doesn't want to neglect his father at the same time, So he has this physical distance away from his father, and I'm sure he has his own gripes and grievances with how his father has treated him in his life, but he doesn't have the heart in him to just leave him out there to dry. He still has love for his father. Otherwise, he wouldn't be giving money for him to be taken care of. So again, the intimacy after this is so palpable. Shane immediately picks up on the fact that there's something off. He doesn't pry for details, but he just goes to comfort him in arguably the best way he knows how, just the physical touch. But him just cozying up to him on his chest and him kissing his head, and then that being what bleeds into the physical intimacy. And it's so palpable and intimate because they're eye to eye, face to face, with their hands on each other. So, as aforementioned, I did start listening to the audiobook, and I just caught up to where the show is. And I thought I understood what was happening in the tuna melt scene. Like, anatomically speaking, I thought I understood. I didn't understand until I listened to the chapter. I didn't understand what was happening with the appendages and the hands. I didn't understand which makes the whole ADR of it all worse. Worse, because what do you mean you had the intimacy coordinator do all of that, and we weren't saying the names in that scene? Did we not know that was we didn't know that was what we're gonna use it for? I'm confused as to how we let the ball drop on that, because that is in the book. That's an atomic bomb. That Shane is an atomic bomb. I was driving, and that was a public safety concern. Me listening to that on 75. Ow. So. I'm really trying not to scream. I'm really, really trying not to scream. With their hands on one another, all the nerve endings on your hand. And then to be face to face like that. Shane mouthing at Ilya's face. Shane mouthing on Ilya's face. It's so tender. It's so quiet. It's not rushed. It's not frenetic. It's not frantic. It's just pure love and comfort that they are displaying from one another. The spit in the hand is crazy. Demure thoughts. Demure thoughts. Especially post tuna melt and pickles and ginger ale. But again, spitting in your hand while looking in someone's eye, and then I do have to address ADR gate. Why would y'all ADR in that? So while they are being intimate in this way, Ilya says, Shane. Shane says, Ilya. But their mouths do not move. It's ADR'd in after the fact, so they dubbed it over in post production. And to be honest, I understand that this is probably a big moment in the fandom, them switching from last name basis to first name basis, the obvious symbolism in that. Again, being a great shift in intimacy. That's not lost on me. But I think the audience is smart enough to know that this is too much intimacy for Shane, that I don't think they needed to ADR it in. I think it would have been really cool. Like, I'm fine with it, but I think it would have been really cool if we just feel the rawness in that moment and Shane pulls off anyway and is freaked out by just how electric and in love he is. In love with him he is. Like, I think that would have spoken for itself. I think that would have sufficed. But again, I can see that being what the fans wanted. C'est la vie, c'est la vie. Que sera, sera. But after that, Shane hears Ilya call him his name. He said, well, now you've got me fucked all the way up. And now I gotta go. He said, I forgot a team meeting. Ilya says, you forgot a team meeting? Oh my God, they know each other so well. He said, now you're gonna sit here and lie to me? Dang. I didn't mean to ruin the moment. I didn't mean it. Ilya says, Hollander. The shattering heart that was heard around the world. Then he says it again. Hollander, trying to backtrack. Demure. Trying to backtrack. I'm sorry, princess. And that was the only thing he could say to express him not wanting him to go. All he could say is his name. And it shows that Ilya is okay with having that boundary if it's going to be limited, if it's only going to be finite, if they can never be public, if they can never be this, never be that. Ilya is going to be okay regardless because he's fine. He'll take whatever scraps he can get. Y'all talking about Shane taking scraps. Ilya is okay with taking scraps. He immediately backtracks, immediately understands why Shane is freaking out a little bit because he's feeling that love too. And he's like, okay, fine. Hollander, I'll go back to last name. I'll go back. Just don't leave. And Shane said, I can't do this. That's a breakup. Shoot me. So now you've broken up with me. And now, by way of my playful rage baiting, you're going to go out and get a girlfriend? Next page. After my 2 big pages. Next page. You're going to go out and get a girlfriend. Not only is a girlfriend, movie star. So now it's plastered over the cover of everything. I have my teammates walking up and showing me articles of you and old girl. The only comedic relief of the whole episode being, damn, I stubbed my toe. Ilya was tight. Ilya was pissed. and heartbroken, more than anything, heartbroken, maybe even a little embarrassed. And I was playing around with the idea of Shane taking a very pragmatic and literal approach to everything, a very business minded idea of everything. And, he's being told time and time again, like, you're supposed to be with women, like, women like you. There's hot women everywhere. Why aren't you with women? Why aren't you with women? And I think Shane was just getting fed up. He's like, fine, I can play the game. I can find a girl. Fine. And I think being with Rose is easy for him on paper. I think it's pragmatic for him. I think it serves its job, its utility in Shane's business mind of need girlfriend to present normal, to present perfect masculine, to present what everyone expects of me to the public eye. It fulfills this, and it fulfills it in a, if we're talking about the patriarchy, if we're talking about heteronormativity, he wins. He has the 2 cups. He has the sponsorships. He's becoming a sex symbol. He's at the top of his game, and he's with a beautiful, famous, talented woman on his side as the cherry on top of his perfect masculine performance. It's the cherry on top of everything. She's serving her utility despite them being compatible personality wise as far as we've you guys are gonna hop off my girl Rose. You're gonna hop off my girl Rose. Because, she is a very fan fiction coded female character in the sense of I have 3 brothers. I'm really cool. I'm really chill. I have the hockey knowledge. I'll wear the jersey. I'm the really cool, outgoing, fun girlfriend that gets my boyfriend to go out and have fun. Also, is the X Squad supposed to be a reference to X-Men or the Suicide Squad? So just nondescript superhero movie. I love how they've been avoiding all the copyright stuff. And Jacob Tierney having an interview about the designs for the logos for the Montreal Metros and the Boston Raiders. Jacob Tierney, I love the joy that you exude and how much fun you've had with this. To close it off, we get the scene of Ilya looking in the mirror. I'm loving all the memes of the Slavic stare. I was talking to my sister. We were talking about how Connor morphs his face. It's in his eyebrows and his mouth posture and the way he walks. He changes his entire physicality. And so when you get him just staring in the mirror, that Ilya stare, that Slavic stare, ooh, he looks Moscow down. Moscow mug the house down boots. But he's looking in the mirror and you see the anger, you see the humiliation, you see the pain, the hurt swirling. And he says, fuck this shit. We're going to the club. We're going to the club. So they go to the club. He's having a good time. No, he's not. He's not having a good time. He's trying to cope by pleasuring himself in other ways. Alcohol, dancing, trying to do anything to forget, to flood his senses so that he physically cannot think about Shane. And he sees Rose's best friend, Miles. And because he's obsessed and in love, his mind immediately, he turns. Because he's like, damn, if Miles is here, Rose is here, Shane is here. Ilya has no shortage of women barking up his tree at any given point. It's not difficult for him to find a woman to participate in this tit for tat with, in this standoff of sorts with Shane and Rose and Ilya and this nondescript girl. All the things you said, running through my head. Connor not knowing that song was going to be in it and saying it in an interview, and Rachel and Jacob surprising him with it, or being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he predicted it. He knows the character so well. He knows the show so well, the source material so well. But the flashing lights reminded me of, there's so many party scenes that are similar to this when you have 2 characters that are at odds with one another. At odds with one another? Is that the meaning of that expression? That are experiencing difficulties with one another. It reminded me of All of Us Strangers with Paul Mescal and old dude from Fleabag. I'll put his name here. There's something about an angsty party scene because you're supposed to be happy. You're surrounded by what's supposed to be pleasures of the flesh and you're locked in on one person. Ugh. And then we end it with a parallel of the stairs. There was a shot of stairs in the opening montage, and that spiraling shot of them running up the stairs with so much joy and fervor for one another. They love each other so bad. Demure. That paralleled with Rose gorgeous, beautiful, sexy Rose in those cutie little black lace panties. I need some of those. Woo-hoo. Taking off that chain mail dress, going up the stairs, and Shane's at the bottom of the stairs. Like, damn, I'm really dreading having to go up there. I should want this. Everything on paper is telling me I should want this, that this is good for me. This is how I will achieve normalcy. This is how I will fulfill the final puzzle piece of my masculinity, is having this perfect woman next to me, of being straight, and I'll be done. And Ilya can just be a phase and a thing in the past. But we know that's not true, and you know that's not true either, Shane Hollander. Going up those stairs looking like hell, looking like he's being forced. That's a little hyperbolic. Going up the stairs, dreading the experience because he knows he cannot fully enjoy it in the ways that he has fully enjoyed Ilya. And then Ilya not even taking the woman home. Ilya not even taking the woman home because it's not going to be enough. And he don't even want to waste that woman's time. And going to the shower to pleasure himself thinking of Shane, while Shane is with Rose thinking of Ilya. The shots of them looking straight into the camera at the end, a lot. But maybe it's a lot because it just feels so intimate. Oh, and also another note about the woman in the club with Connor. If Connor's story was up on my ear, pulling on my ear with his teeth like that, you would have had to carry me out on a stretcher. Trench coat button to the top, demure. I'm not going to scream. I'm just going to say, if Connor's story were to ever bite on the shell of my ear in the manner of which he did so to that beautiful actress in the club under those lights, you would have had to carry me out on a stretcher. Thank you. I just can't even get over the fact that Ilya did not take that woman home because he knew it was going to be a waste of time and it wouldn't have made anything feel better. So he's like, I might as well just go home by myself. So after an hour, basically, of me recapping, I'm scared for the cottage episode. Everyone keeps talking about the cottage. I'm scared. I love this show. I'm so happy it exists. It's important that it exists. I'm having a fantastic time. I'm so excited for Connor and Hudson. I wish nothing but the best for them. I hope that this catapults their careers. I'm sure that it will catapult their careers. And I'm happy to be living in the same timeline as Hockey Yowie. I'm resisting the urge to be the neurodivergent, crazed person that I am to get into actual hockey, because I was looking at some of them Dallas Stars players. I was looking at, what was his name, Vince? I was looking at some of the men on the Sharks. But I'm going to control myself. Now, I did have some stuff written about them using the tattoo song. I think you said. And it made me think of Ken playlists because I've been listening to Ilya Rozanov playlists. Ken playlists. I'm digging into the depths of the archives. Okay, this is for the internet kids. This is for the kids that grew up with a phone in hand. Okay, this is for the real early Gen Z, the girls who are on Tumblr, who are on Wattpad, who are on AO3 holding it the hell down. Okay, Ken playlists. What do you guys know about a Ken playlist? You make a playlist for a character that you relate to, so much so that you assign them as your kin. The Ilya Rozanov playlists. I found the perfect one. The first song was Moscow Mule by Bad Bunny. I said I found it because you guys keep putting Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift and whatever the fuck. And I like Taylor Swift. I like some of the Taylor Swift songs. I like some of the Gaga songs. No. We need to be accurate. If you're going to make a Ken playlist, you need to do your research. You need to do your job properly. Because where were you back in the day when you would have a psychotic character and the top of that playlist was Control by Halsey? Oh No by Marina and the Diamonds. Panic at the Disco, 21 Pilots. Those, any Troye Sivan song, Strawberries and Cigarettes, with my dude from Love Simon. What do you know? What do you know about a Ken song? What do you know about a fan MV where you splice together clips of the show and make a music video with a song where the lyrics match up perfectly? What do you know about a GIF edit? Nowadays, y'all be putting the edits with the little lyrics tiny as hell, swiping across the screen. And then y'all be having typos. I'm like, the editors, we got to get it together. Why y'all got typos in the lyrics going across the screen? They about this big anyway in the brat fonts. We got to get that the hell together. No, but so now I've been listening to like Russian club music and rap. That same playlist with Moscow Mule at the top had Cop Car by Mitski at the bottom. I was like, someone cooked here. I love all the edits with God's Plan. 81, and kind of low-key fuck Drake, but it's cute. A lot of my fandom knowledge is through osmosis via my sister. The Ken playlists during the Voltron era, Supernatural, Game of Thrones, like it has touched every corner of the internet. I mean, I was really big into Dear Evan Hansen, and the Ken playlist for Evan Hansen versus Connor Murphy. Shout out Mike Feist. Shout out Mike Feist. Guys, like you don't understand the power of a beautifully characterized Ken playlist. The power of a 13-year-old girl on Tumblr. And then you have the Ken playlist coupled with your mood board. I was back in the day on Tumblr in the Stranger Things fandom. My handle was Mouth Breathing Ego. And I was making Lumix Ken playlists and mood boards. Oh, you had to be there. You really had to be there. You really had to be there. The power of music, the power of different artistic mediums coming together to create a holistic experience, an immersive experience. Release them. I was not expecting this to be an hour long. I don't even have. I had a whole other. I had a whole other thing to talk about. It's just going to be heated rivalry. This is absurd. I'll transition into media of the week by talking about I Love LA. I tried out the first 3 episodes. I kind of like it. I think it's fun. And that actor talking about gay authentic sex, that's going to be my vocal stem for the week. Authentic gay sex. I'm going to be saying that all week because what does that mean? Especially because in the first 3 episodes I watched, he had that one scene with another gay man. It was just giving normal sex scene. So I guess that's authentic gay sex. The internet is kind of becoming bean soup. Words have no meaning anymore. I'm like, how more authentic can it be than getting plowed from behind? I'm really sorry. That was really vulgar. Talking about prepping, we want a whole scene of them disclosing that they douche. And I think everything about Shane's character thus far has indicated that trust and believe he is prepped. When the phone rings for Ilya Rozanov, please trust and believe Shane Hollander is prepared. And seeing Ilya on the receiving end, I don't know what's more authentic than that. Other than the real thing. I guess go watch some real stuff. Go watch some real PORN. I'm really sorry. It's getting really vulgar. It's getting really crazy. Media of the week. Say it with me. Heated rivalry. If you want something lighter, I liked I Love LA. I think there's some funny bits. I love having Josh Hutcherson on my screen. And the best friend, Alani, she's really funny. I love her line deliveries. I think she's really, really funny. I love dry humor, and I love that dry delivery that she does when she was like, it's like to spread something on a cracker. To spread. She's so cutesy, and we need more cutesy Black girls in media. And her braids are tea. It makes me want some boho braids again. Like I'm getting the boho braid itch, but I'm gonna wait till the spring. Because this puff, me and this puff have been rocking, girl. Put a little bit of that Auntie Jackie's curl on the end. Yeah. My songs of the week are going to be Moscow Mule by Bad Bunny. Ayo by Bad Bunny. Ayo. That was my 4th most played song of the year, I think, or 3rd. Ayo by Bad Bunny. What else have I been listening to this week that I really like? Two On by Tinashe. That song never gets old for me. I love to get on. I love to get two on. When the drink be too strong. Media next year is going to be crazy. Euphoria, Dune, The Odyssey, the drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I'm really seated. The trailer for the drama dropped, and I don't know anything about the twist. I'm going to try my hardest to avoid the twist. I just know that Robert Pattinson really freaks me out. His filmography is really freaky. I went on like a Robert Pattinson rabbit hole for a month and a half, and I've watched basically every movie that he's been in. He does some freaky shit. So that's how I know this movie is not going to be some normal couple. And is it A24 and you thought it was going to be a normal couple movie? No. So whatever the fuck that twist is, I'm really scared. I'm personally scared. Robert Pattinson scares me in a way that most other actors don't, because he says yes to everything. Have you watched Good Time recently? Ugh. The Devil All the Time. ugh, Robert Pattinson, you scare me really, really bad. And y'all are trying to do some revisionist history and say that Zendaya can't act. I have a gun. I have a gun. Did you see Zendaya Coleman embody an addict going through withdrawal, try to pick up a candy, and you're trying to tell me that she's a bad actress? That's neither here nor there. Other media of the week: Upstairs Neighbors podcast, Nathan's Nook, his YouTube channel, big inspiration for me, and The Sims. I have the Life and Death pack. So I've been playing with a mortician teacher lesbian couple in Ravenwood, and the teacher writes ghost novels. Let's all live. It's really amazing. And they've just had twin girls in their haunted manor. I'm obsessed. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. I really don't want to be a heated rivalry podcast, but it was taking up a lot of my brain space, obviously. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. I have a lot of fun over on TikTok. And don't forget to talk like no one's listening, you guys. That's what I'm doing, because this is a little bit embarrassing for me. There's people in my real life that are watching this. It's embarrassing, but we have to go through the embarrassment. Bye.